What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And things are looking pretty good between the Republicans and the Democrats over the next stimulus check and unemployment extension update. I'm going to give you all the details of what's going on with that in this video. But first, if you can, give this video a like or a thumbs up down below. It really helps out our channel. My wife and I do all the research for you every single day so we can bring you all the stimulus check, unemployment extension, and election and related news in a quick, concise video. And if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on new videos as they come out. Okay, first up, as you know, if you've watched my past videos in the last 24 hours or so, the Democrats have released a new stimulus package, which includes $1,200 stimulus checks for all individuals and $500 stimulus checks for all dependents. That means children, college students this time around, and also adult dependents that might be a dependent on somebody's tax returns. Everybody will be receiving a stimulus check that falls under those qualifications this time around, as long as you're under the income qualifications of $75,000 per individual also. Also in this bill is a unemployment extension of the boost money for unemployed people who have lost their job during this pandemic of $600 per week all the way until January of 2021, and more money for small business owners and people with side hustles, people that are like Amazon sellers, or they drive Uber. They may have a side gig on the side that's technically considered a small business. There's another round of money in there for that, and rental assistance money for people who are struggling to pay their rent and to pay their mortgage. There's a lot of things in this bill, not just the stimulus checks or just the unemployment updates. I cover all the details of what's in that bill more in depth in this video. If you haven't watched that yet, you should watch that. I'll link to it at the end of this video. One of the main things to get this bill passed is to get an agreement with the Republicans ahead of time. If they can get an agreement with the Republicans or Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, who's the main negotiator for the Republicans at this point, he goes back and speaks with President Donald Trump every single day after he negotiates with Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the Democrats in the House. Getting the agreement between those two is basically what needs to happen to get this passed, because the Democrats need about 15 votes in the Senate to pass this bill, along with support of all the Democrats. So they really need to get an agreement done if we want to get these checks and this unemployment extension update and all the other things that are in there before the election. And it looks like that's going pretty good. Nancy Pelosi and both the other Republican negotiator, Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff, say that they're hopeful that the new stimulus package deal is within reach. Nancy Pelosi has talked by phone now with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin several times over the new negotiations of this stimulus package, and things seem to be going very well. Nancy Pelosi says, "We're in a negotiation, and hopefully we will come to a bipartisan agreement," which means an agreement between both the Democrats and the Republicans, that will remove all doubt that the legislation will pass and be signed by the president. Nancy Pelosi said on MSNBC when asked when the House would vote on the new bill. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows also said the Secretary and I, talking about Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, have had a couple of conversations this morning. We also had a conversation with the president, so hopefully we will make some progress and find a solution for the American people. The next 24 to 48 hours are key. This is game time, Representative Josh Gottheimer, a Democrat from New Jersey, said in an interview on Tuesday. Many of us have made it clear we can't go home before the election and potentially inauguration without helping people, small businesses, and local governments. A lot of politicians from both the Democratic and the Republican sides have said that they want to pass a deal before they go back to their home states for their reelection. Remember, everybody in the House is up for reelection in November, and 1/3 of the Senate is also up for reelection, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. There's been a lot of congressmen saying that they just want to pass this now so that they can then go back to their states and campaign for their reelections. They don't want to have to go back home and then come back again to vote on the stimulus package. They just want to pass it this week and have it done and basically be able to go back to their states and say, hey, we got you guys more stimulus. We got you stimulus checks. We got you an unemployment extension. We got money for small businesses. We got you rental assistance and mortgage assistance to help you guys pay your rent. They want to go back to their states and be able to say that. They don't want to go back to their states and be empty-handed and say, yeah, I'm up for reelection and we didn't pass more stimulus, but can you vote for me anyways, please? So honestly, we're seeing very good news all around. We haven't seen that the Republicans have completely balked at the bill that the Democrats have come out. In fact, we've actually kind of seen some positive remarks. I mean, of course, there's been a few Republicans that say, it's too much money and this and that. They only need 15 Republicans out of the Senate to pass this bill. If they get the president's approval, they'll pretty much get that, and we'll have our checks and all the other money that comes with this package in our hands in a very timely manner. Also, let me know if you watch the presidential debates. Me and my wife, or should I say my wife and I, that goes back to the old Jimmy. Let me know if you've been watching my videos back when I used to say me and my wife, not my wife and I. Comment down below if you're an old school watcher and you remember me saying that. It just kind of felt natural to come off the tongue that way. But let me know if you watched the presidential debates. My wife's going to jump on camera with me tonight at 8 p.m. in our 8 p.m. video. On the second half of that video, we're going to give you guys some commentary over those debates, and I think it'll be a good time. What's interesting is presidential candidate Joe Biden released his 2019 tax returns hours before the presidential debate happened in a not surprising move. I mean, a lot of this feels scripted almost. All this comes after the announcement, I guess you could say, that the New York Times had obtained decades worth of President Donald Trump's taxes, and now all of a sudden Joe Biden releases his 2019 taxes right before the debates happen. And all this is actually somewhat not surprising that this would happen right before the election. I almost wish that these debates and election campaigns weren't allowed to smear the other side. If it was just about basically what you could do, what your plans were, what you wanted to do as the president or as the congressman or a senator, I just wish they weren't able to smear the other side. You guys can let me know your thoughts down below, but I guess that's just wishful thinking for a perfect America, because that'll probably never happen. U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi is also trying to rally Democrats to prepare for a once-in-a-century election scenario requiring Congress to decide the outcome of the presidential race if neither Democrat Joe Biden or President Donald Trump wins outright. In a campaign letter to colleagues, Nancy Pelosi told her fellow House Democrats that recent comments by Trump demonstrate that he could ask the House to decide the race if it is not clear which of the two candidates had received the minimum of 270 electoral votes in the November 3rd election needed to gain office. President Trump has repeatedly questioned the security of mail-in ballots, as we've already started to see numerous cases of ballots being thrown in the ditch and thrown in the trash, which could take a while to tabulate given the high number of voters likely to use them this year during the pandemic. Democrats fear that the president could attempt to have the count of these votes cut short in an attempt to have the election outcome determined by the U.S. House of Representatives. Under the U.S. Constitution, the House would vote by state delegation to settle such a contest. Now, you might be saying, well, Jimmy, the Democrats control the House, they have more seats in the House, but not in this case. which would be each state casting a single vote. While Democrats control the chamber by 232 seats to 198 Republicans, the Republicans control a majority of 26 state delegations versus only 22 for the Democrats. Pennsylvania's delegation is tied, while Michigan has a 7-6 split between Democrats and Republicans and an additional seat held by a Libertarian. The House has not determined the outcome of a presidential election since 1876, but obviously it has happened before. Nancy Pelosi called on Democrats for an all-out effort to capture additional Republican-held House seats, which they might need if a decision on the presidential election spills over into next year. She also urged Democrats to marshal resources to support the House Majority PAC, the Political Action Committee, committed to promoting Democrat candidates for the House. The president also said that he is willing to contest the election if he loses, all the way up to the Supreme Court, of which he has personally appointed 3 Supreme Court justices now with the newly appointed Supreme Court justice that he just appointed, and 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices now being Republicans. So the only thing certain is that this is going to be a highly contested election. You guys can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And my wife will be jumping on camera with me at the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time video tonight. So make sure to stay tuned in that. And we're going to go over some of the election stuff as well as stimulus news. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up down below and click subscribe if you haven't yet, along with the bell icon if you want to get notifications when we go live. We have videos going live at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will update you guys as soon as new information comes out. And you can click on these videos to watch my newest stimulus check videos next. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.